Hey everybody, I am your host Alad, and today we are reporting to you live from New York City where we have anti-Kavanaugh protesters. So let's go ask some people some questions. I wanted to ask you, why are you out here protesting today?
First, because I'm an immigrant. I'm from Colombia. My name is Santiago. I'm a permanent resident, lawfully staying here in this country. Sorry, too loud? Sorry. And I'm a son of my mother, so I have to vouch for women.
Oh, okay. So what has Brett Kavanaugh done that's against women? I'm not sure if you know, he has 2 daughters. You know, he's a middle school basketball women's coach.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, priests that have like families and rape children. I don't think like having a family is no security of anything nowadays. There's a lot of women that have come with strong allegations. You have, even recently, some of his classmates have went as far to affirm that he texted them asking to cover stuff up. So I think that's, concerning to my eyes at least. And I feel like a woman should be appointed to make this decision, not a man, not any man, not even a sober man.
So only women should be put on the Supreme Court because they'd be the people who decide.
In this case, I feel would be like a good case to just give women that one point. Like they start to diversify. Like how companies now have like policies that you have like percentage of women.
Like affirmative action. So you're in support of things like affirmative action. What if they're less qualified? Because Brett Kavanaugh has a long record. He's been a D.C. Circuit judge for I think at least 10, if not 20, 30 years. So
yeah, a lot of experience lobbying and knowing a lot of people in the government for sure. And that could make you professionally fit from a resume standpoint, but we're here facing with human issues and it goes beyond the paper, so that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Ho ho, Kavanaugh has got to go, hey hey. Ho ho, Kavanaugh has got to go, hey hey. What are you out here protesting today?
I'm out here protesting the treatment of Dr. Blasey Ford by the political system and, America as a whole.
Okay, and are you against the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, I'm assuming?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's lied under oath, so it's not even a question in my mind.
What did he lie about under oath?
For one, his drinking. For another, the Devil's Triangle, all those things. I mean, I understand making mistakes in your youth. We've all certainly been there and we've done that, but it's another thing entirely to sort of completely lie, transcriptually to the American people. So
what is the Devil's Triangle? What did he say it is, and what do you think it really is?
I mean, it's a sexual encounter with 2 men and one woman.
Okay, and is that what disqualifies him, like off the bat? Is it his drinking that disqualifies him?
I think it's the credible accusations of sexual assault from 3 witnesses, each with multiple corroborations, that disqualifies him. I think, if it were 1 woman, it would still be certainly a cause for concern and delay, but the fact that it's 3 sort of is extremely alarming, especially with the way the investigation is not really interviewing all pertinent witnesses.
And you said there was corroborating evidence. Who was there corroborating evidence with? Because I know with at least Ford, the 3 people that she said were there said, I don't believe it, or I don't recall the events.
They said they don't recall, not that they don't believe it. There's a big difference. I think actually at least 2 of them said specifically that they do believe her, but they don't recall that specific circumstance. But over the last few days, we've seen reports from credible newspapers that there are many people who are trying to come forward to the FBI as we speak and are not being allowed to do so.
I think that one of the concerns with Ford is she's already given, she wrote something to the Senate, and then if the FBI investigates her again and asks her questions and she gives a different answer, wouldn't that be perjury herself? So wouldn't she be opening herself to perjury?
I mean, depending on the circumstances, yes, absolutely, she could be opening up herself up to perjury, which is what gives her testimony sort of even more credence, because you wouldn't open yourself up to perjury without basis, would you? Especially not if you're a reputable professor at a sort of top-tier institution like Blasey Ford is. So I believe her, and I believe the other credible witnesses that have come forward, employees of the federal government with multiple security clearances, sort of, etc. So I believe her.
I also wanted to ask you about the believe her stuff. Are we believing accusations against Democratic nominees and people in the Democratic Party as well, or are these only good against Republicans?
Both. Absolutely. This is not a partisan issue. I don't consider myself far left. I don't consider myself even left on many issues. In many ways, I'm a crypto-anarchist. I work on, cryptocurrencies for a living. I'm not here for any sort of partisan belief. I'm here because I know too many people in my own life who have been sexually assaulted. Yeah. And when you watch the testimony of those women and you've had people who come forward to you, it's sort of obvious what's going on here. No one would put themselves through that pain, sort of, unless really it was a credible accusation.
Yeah.
So when you have, again, 3 women that really bolsters the whole argument, right?
Yeah. So Senator Cory Booker said he wrote a column about grabbing a woman's breast who didn't want her breast to be grabbed. Keith Ellison has, I think it's sexual abuse and people. So would you also call for them to step down?
I think in cases where there are multiple credible allegations of a pattern of behavior, such as Al Franken or something like that, absolutely, I support. I support all of them stepping down. Yes.
Okay.
It's again not a partisan issue. It's a problem of sexual assault. It's an endemic issue in this country, with 1 in 3 women having reported, and 90% of cases going unreported. Those are simply the scientific facts. Those are the statistics that academics gather, using rigorous methodologies. So absolutely, I think it's an endemic issue. It's on both sides of the aisle. At the same time, today we are here, for one specific position. That's going to be a seat on the Supreme Court of America. That's a lifetime appointment. So absolutely, we feel very strongly about this issue.
I also want to ask you, last question. A lot of people are yelling here, no justice, no peace. Is there any justice for Brett Kavanaugh?
Absolutely, there should be justice for Brett Kavanaugh, which is why I think the
due process
excuse
justice
for an investigation that happened is unfortunate. I also think the media circus is unfortunate. This is a political partisan issue, and the media has certainly blown it up on both sides of the partisan aisle in this country, and I think that's a goddamn shame for everybody.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
That's it. I just say, if someone comes forward to you in your life, believe them and be there for them and send them love and empathy and support.
Great. Thank you for your time. So what are you out here protesting today?
So the nomination for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Is there a specific reason? Is there a decision that he's made that you specifically don't like, or
a decision? I would like to have him fully vetted, and I would also like to have a full FBI investigation, not 1 week. We have presidential campaigns take hundreds of days, yet we only have a week to investigate sexual assault and credible allegations, and I absolutely this investigation has been a sham investigation.
So I was going to ask, a lot of people are nervous that there's no corroborating evidence, and Senator Feinstein brought these charges after the Senate hearings with Judge Kavanaugh, and that's why a lot of people are worried that Democrats are just being obstructionists here. Can you speak to that at all?
In terms of being obstructionists, Feinstein was asked not to reveal this letter by the request of Dr. Ford until recently. We've had limited amount of time to actually fully investigate these charges. I absolutely believe in presumption of innocence, but there has been no time given to fully investigate. They also have not interviewed all of the witnesses. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
No, that's okay. Was there anything else you wanted to say? We could end it there then.
No, I mean, I'm out here because I believe in justice, and this is...
A lot of people are saying, though, that Brett Kavanaugh isn't getting that justice, that due process. So when I hear no justice, no peace, I'm thinking, is there any justice for Brett Kavanaugh?
Is there any justice for Brett Kavanaugh? He is going to be sitting in the... He's getting a lifetime appointment. He's in the middle of a job interview, and if you have a credible witness come forward who... Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Have a good one. Also, I like the show. So, what are you out here protesting today for?
We are protesting the potential confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh to the seat in the Supreme Court.
And were there any specific decisions he made that makes you against him?
I'm not familiar with a lot of his legal record, but we're out here primarily to support sexual assault survivors. That was the focus of the protest. And also, I think there's a lot of solidarity given the differences in demeanor between Judge Kavanaugh's testimony and Dr. Ford's testimony. And I think a lot of that is playing into the ideas of male privilege and white power. And kind of those dynamics are what we're out here trying to change today.
Yeah. So as far as white power go, I mean, didn't Clarence Thomas go through a similar thing, about a decade ago? Back in the day, he called it a high-tech lynching. And I think a lot of people are scared about these uncorroborated witness. There's no corroborating evidence. And a lot of people are nervous about the standard, for finding somebody guilty on these things is lowered. Do you have any opinions or thoughts on that?
I do. So I think one of the main things to keep in mind here is that it's not a criminal proceedings, right? We're just trying to, prove that he is not fit to be in this job, in this very powerful position. And the Clarence Thomas is a little bit of a different situation because there were a lot of different intersectionalities that were combining as far as his nomination. People of color, women of color, and there was a lot in the feminist movement and the different movements about mainstream liberalism that were not, that they didn't align at the time. And so there's been a lot more conversation this time around about how those identities intersect and how we can start supporting each other instead of being on two separate sides.
Yeah. So I'm just nervous that in the future the Republicans are going to use a similar standard. So right now we have 3 accusations, no corroborating evidence. Would that be enough to take a Democratic nominee off the board for the Supreme Court as well? Just so we're being morally consistent.
Absolutely. I think it's not about political party right now. It's about male privilege. And it's about believing survivors, and it's about a standard that we want to set for who is fit to serve on the Supreme Court.
Okay. Anything else did you wanted to say? I wanted to make it fair, so nothing else?
You wanted to make it fair?
Fair, yeah. So if you had anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think it's really important to keep in mind that there are a lot of different factors at play, and Judge Kavanaugh is not being tried in a criminal proceeding. There's no need to prove guilt. There's just a lot of evidence at this point about how he is not fit to serve on the Supreme Court.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
So what are you out here protesting today?
I'm out here protesting the potential nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court because, as in so many situations that we see all the time in this country and all over the world, a woman who has come forward with sexual assault allegations against him is not being believed and is being subject to public ridicule. And I want to protest that culture, that process of shaming women and not believing women. And also, I'm against him even before any of these events emerged as a candidate for the Supreme Court or a nominee for the Supreme Court because he seems incredibly politically biased. Of course, everybody has a personal politics, but also like the position of being a Supreme Court justice requires a lot of objectivity and real belief in a solid constitutional foundation that is pre-existing in the law for us to interpret. And he's not a person like that. He has changed his position since the time when he was calling very fervently for the impeachment of Bill Clinton to say now that he does not believe there's any reason for which a president such as our current one.
So I want to ask you, he's been on the D.C. Circuit Judge for 30 years. Isn't that long enough to qualify him to be a Supreme Court judge?
I think like the length of experience is not like a direct correlate for a qualification for such a powerful position. There are many people with legal careers that long and longer, but he has shown himself in his public appearances during the course of this nomination to not be objective enough and sort of like unemotional observer enough of the law and of the process of and any judicial proceeding, such as like his hearing in the Senate, to hold such a powerful position. Like I think like yeah, of course he has a very impressive legal career and impressive.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court used his decisions before, so that he actually worked under Anthony Keddy, which is the justice who stepped down.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but I think that his behavior has shown him personally unqualified, too politically biased, and also like very possibly not of appropriate character to hold such a powerful position.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments. Until next time, stay barely informed, everybody.